In ACJ, so their definition of a cult is based on their specific interpretation of the Bible. So they believe that their God, the God that they believe in, and the Christian scripture is the source of orthodoxy. But from their point of view in ACJ, they believe that the Bible, a big part of it, specifically the prophetic content in the Bible, is written in parables or figurative language and metaphors, and that it's ultimately a mystery, or it's hidden by God until an appointed time when those prophecies are fulfilled. And that's the time that things are revealed, and that's the time that they can have the true interpretation of the Bible is made known. And that true interpretation is what orthodoxy is, and people that do not follow it, essentially they label as a cult. So from like SCJ's point of view, theologically, they're the only true orthodox organization in the world, and that everyone else essentially is a cult. So they have a more kind of a theological definition of orthodoxy and heresy, or heresy can also be defined as cult from their point of view, where it's based on interpretation of the Bible. So that's kind of more, as in philosophy, you would call that an epistemic point of view, where epistemology is the study of knowledge. So they would kind of define a cult in relation to the concept of truth and lies. However, the kind of definition that's adhered to within social science is more based on tactics or behavior. So it's more based on the way that people conduct themselves, and not necessarily about what they believe, whether it's true or not. So that's kind of where it comes into. So to go into it. So the first question we should ask ourselves, what is a cult? So of course, like I've said, there isn't necessarily, like my definition is the only true definition. There can be different types of definitions, but the definition commonly adhered to within social science is that a cult is a high control group. So a high control group is an organized group who dominates group members through manipulation. And this manipulation implies that they control people for selfish gain by means of things like deception, indoctrination, exploitation, and also things like coercion. And high control groups are also sometimes called high demand groups, because they demand a lot from the people, where you have to give up your whole life for the goals of the group. So high control groups, they're usually based on an authoritarian leadership style, where the leadership or the people that are in charge, sometimes it can be an individual and sometimes it can be a group of individuals, but they have complete decision-making power. And they also don't have any responsibility to justify decisions. And this is a common thing that you find amongst high control groups or cults. And in this sense, a high control group doesn't necessarily have to pertain to a religious organization, but it can also pertain to a political movement, or even like a self-help group, or you even get psychotherapy groups and various types of organizations that have these kind of tactics. So it doesn't necessarily have to apply only to religious organizations.